He wrote songs about heartbreak, but his own children say they never knew him at all. Good evening and welcome back. I'm Jackson, and this is CelebScope, bringing you the stories that matter. Tonight, we turn to a story that is equal parts legacy and loss. Not just the passing of a music legend, but the painful truth his own children are now speaking out about. The world knew David Allan Coe as an outlaw. His family, it seems, knew a different man entirely, David Allan Coe, the iconic outlaw country singer behind anthems like "You Never Even Called Me by My Name" and "Take This Job and Shove It," passed away on Wednesday, April 29, 2026. He was 86 years old. For decades, Coe was a towering figure in American music, rough-edged, rebellious, and impossible to ignore. He wrote hits for other artists, rode motorcycles, and built a reputation as country music's ultimate outsider. But behind the rhinestones and the rebel image, his children tell a far more complicated story. Children's revelations. Coe is survived by multiple children from 5 former marriages, and this week, as news of his death broke, some of them stepped forward, not just to mourn, but to speak their truth. His daughter, Tanya Montana Coe, took to social media with words that shook many who read them, that waking up to the news of her father's death without being given the chance to say goodbye was, in her own words, a hell she wouldn't wish on her worst enemy and more heartbreaking. She had to publicly ask strangers on social media if anyone knew where or when his funeral would be held, because no one had told her. This estrangement, it turns out, had been years in the making. Back in September 2025, Tanya had already revealed on Instagram that her father had disowned her. She described their final encounter: Coe sitting in a limousine, throwing $200 at her feet, rolling up the window, and driving away without a second glance. She also revealed she had only recently learned of a half-brother, born just 4.5 months after her, and Tanya wasn't alone in her pain. Her brother, Mahan Coe, himself a well-known voice in country music through his acclaimed podcast, Cocaine and Rhinestones, told GQ magazine in 2021 that he had not spoken to his father since 2013. That was the year David dismissed Tyler from his touring band without explanation. Tyler's words were measured but striking. He said it was not a relationship that was ever really there, and that he could count on one hand the number of times his father had ever said anything truly meaningful to him. It is a familiar and painful contradiction. The larger-than-life, public figure who fills arenas but leaves emptiness at home. David Allan Coe was a man who wrote some of country music's most emotionally resonant songs. Yet, according to his own children, emotional presence was something he rarely offered in real life. Records also show that in 2007, Coe reportedly owed more than $300,000 in unpaid child support. And in 2015, he pleaded guilty to federal tax obstruction charges. A brilliant artist, a complicated father, and a legacy that his children are now left to reckon with. On their own terms, as the country music world mourns, David Allan Coe, those closest to him are navigating a grief that is far more layered than simple loss. They are grieving the father he was, and perhaps even more so, the father he never chose to be. We will continue to follow this story as it develops. I'm Jackson. Thank you for watching CelebScope. Stay informed. Stay with us.